Um, all right, let's see. So, welcome everybody to GameBusters. I'm back. I've returned from the grave.
We let you back.
Yeah, if you remember, I was a ghost on the last episode.
Your voice is a bit different this time.
Yeah, it's a little different. I don't know if it was racist that I used the text to speech thing and I made it like an Indian accent, even though I don't think I have one of those, but thought that might be fun. But anyway, yeah, so I'm back for real this time. We are gonna be doing a kind of a fun special episode today because first of all, it's the morning, and so that's always exciting. And secondly,
you sound excited.
Yeah, it was good. I slept on a couch. And so the other thing is that we are going to be talking about just Xbox today. They launched their 20th anniversary celebration yesterday. You may have seen, and I was like, oh hey, yeah, they've been around for a bit. Let's see what they're up to. So Ree very kindly gathered together this outline. And yeah, we have my brother Nikhil is back. He's a in-person guest today.
Yes, I've arrived.
Yes. And we're sitting at this computer and just saying some stuff. That's all podcasting is, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And like this time we have a physical studio where 2/3 of us are, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we're in the studio right now. Ree is remoting in. So actually, first thing, I really liked how the last episode of the podcast that I was not running was. So I was like, well, I kind of liked the vibe. So the thing is, I have been really trying to get away from like the "what are you playing this week" question that every single game podcast does. But then I was listening to this one and I really liked it, and I realized the reason everyone does it is because it's good and it's a good opener.
Yeah, I know it's a bit cliche, but I think I had a lot of fun with it, and also I think people like hearing about the games that are coming out now.
They want to know that we're actually certified capital G gamers before they listen to the rest of this.
Sometimes, maybe.
So I think at least for this week, we're going to be starting with that, and I'm going to relocate our Dungeon Busters game to our closing segment.
Sounds fun. Sounds good.
Okay, so yeah, what are we playing this week? Ree, why don't you kick us off, get us going?
All right, I've still been playing Pokemon Snap. I've been absolutely addicted to it ever since we did that episode on it. I just thought I missed it completely as a kid. And because I always thought, well, how can you get a whole game out of just taking pictures? Turns out you very easily can, because I haven't been able to put it down. I went to London during the week and I played it the whole way there, played it the whole way back, played it all the time at home. I love Pokemon Snap. I fucking hate how they rate the pictures in that game though. I swear to God, I'll get some really beautiful shots and I'll be like, it's bad because you haven't got a Magikarp in the background, I
think one small issue that I have is that the rating system doesn't have as much character as it used to. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It's very boring now.
Yeah, because Professor Oak used to just fucking shit all over you.
Did he?
Well, it just
well,
not
always
really.
say you were close.
Yeah, he had all these iconic catchphrases like "so close, bye." This professor is
this professor's got nothing on Oak.
Yeah, he's much more mild mannered, I guess.
I actually don't like any of the other characters. It has to be said.
Phil and the professor are terrible, and the girl, she's
whatever.
She's boring as hell.
I mean, Todd's cool because he's still
Todd's an OG.
He's one of the OGs. Okay, neat. Yeah, I really need to get back into that, but I've been playing too many other things. I just had to play Assassin's Creed Valhalla's first DLC, Wrath of the Druids, for review, so that consumed 4 days.
How's that going? I've heard really good things about that.
It's good. Do you like Ireland?
I very much enjoy Ireland, as it happens.
All right, get over there. No, it's good. It's literally just more of the base game, but in Ireland now, which is I think what some people wanted. I personally would have wanted something like the last 2 games DLCs, so in the Curse of the Pharaohs or whatever for Origins, it was a gauntlet of fighting Egyptian gods, which is really cool. And then the Fate of Atlantis was going to a whole other world, which was actually Olympus, and
oh, wow.
then fighting Cyclops and Cerberus and all that shit. And this one is you just go to regular Ireland.
The thing is, I've I've heard from certified Irish people that they actually do quite a good job of like, I guess, displaying the history and the mythology there, and it's a really underused setting. I can't believe it hasn't been used in a video game before.
Yeah, it's being used in Elden Ring right now as we
Hey,
speak.
it's a year of the Irish, I
I'm
guess.
sure. Yeah, and it's good. I gave it an 8. I enjoyed it because I really enjoyed the base game a lot. If you like really were like kind of on the base game and you're like there's too much of the same junk in here, there's just more of the same junk. Like it reminds me of the Breath of the Wild DLC. It's like exactly like that. Like it is already, the game's already great and it's just like literally adding more of the exact same thing onto it. But yeah, that's been pretty good. And then I like I'm playing Nier Replicant still. I'm only 25 hours in. I'm still on playthrough A. I'm moving very slowly. And jumping mostly between that and Assassin's Creed right now. I've not been able to put much time into Pokemon Snap, unfortunately, but
Sad.
I will get there. Nikhil, what are you doing?
Was mostly still doing some Pokemon snapping, taking some photos, and then did some Stardew Valley this week to try it out again. And it's got a good farm going. Got a couple of different crops that I need to water, but yeah, I kind of like the way they do the time in that game, where you don't have to wait a full day to have a full day. So you can like get multiple days in if you just play for like an hour. And stuff actually happens over a couple days. So I've been messing around on that. Yeah, I think that's mainly it.
See, that was pleasant.
It was. Oh, I do just want to give a shout out to my Dragon Age Origins save that I accidentally maybe killed with mods. That was what I was doing last night.
That's exciting.
Yeah, don't keep adding mods to your game when you're like 30 hours in. I've learned
In
that
contrast, you should keep adding mods to the game and see how long it can live. The also, Rhea, I wanted to address this. Since you joined, now I've been like clicking on these links. Since you joined the gamer, I've been seeing like almost exclusively Dragon Age and Final Fantasy X related content being posted from that website. But every time I click on it, it wasn't written by you. What are you doing to the people there?
See, funny enough, I don't want to say I'm having an influence because like it just so happens that I joined the editorial team and like there's probably like 10 people on this planet that enjoyed Dragon Age 2, and like 3 of them are in the gamers editorial team.
That's a good ratio. That's a good ratio. Yeah.
I found my people. But also I did an article like completely simping Dragon Age Origins, and then I know one of them replayed it afterwards and is now playing through the whole series. One of the people in the editorial team is also like the biggest Final Fantasy nerd I've like ever met in my life. I accidentally stumbled into fellow intellectuals, people that will allow me to just die on hills for the dumbest takes. I mean, that you pointed out the whole Final Fantasy and Dragon Age focus of the content there. That's by far not the worst thing I've published. I did also do an article simping Caden and Mass Effect this week. I'm not sure if I'm proud of that or not.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, don't click on it.
All right.
Don't read
some anti-advertising.
Yeah, I definitely won't. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into our main segment, Bustums. So, Rhea, there's 2 ways we can do this. The first way is that you, who has prepared this outline, can kind of guide us through this and like basically like host our way through this, or me, who has not looked at this at all, can try and do that instead, and maybe that would be funny.
See, I was at one point intending you to read it out, but then I realized like towards the end I started adding a lot of I statements, which you just have to pretend to be me for the whole podcast if that was the case.
I can do that.
Yeah, but I don't want to hear your British accent for an hour.
It's me.
It's authentic.
It's authentic, isn't it, though?
Oh fuck, that is just me. God, are we getting an
yeah.
echo?
The echoes are back. It's my that was my impression of Peter Dinklage in Game of Thrones.
It's pretty accurate.
Oh man, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't know. We can run through some of this, and let's see here. How does this start? As we entered the new millennium, the face of the gaming industry had changed beyond recognition. This is very like
it's like a movie trailer or something. It was intense.
In a world where only 2 consoles remained,
I'm happy to do
I
it
think
though. If you're going to be doing the dungeon thing later, so.
yeah, sure. Why don't you take us through it?
Okay, I'll actually co-host for once. Okay, so as we entered the new millennium, the face of the gaming industry had changed beyond recognition. Sega was tapping out of the console market, Sony was taking its place as the cool kids console, and Nintendo had begun the trend it would continue to this day and do whatever it wants.
That is true.
Pretty much.
So yeah, I think this generation with Nintendo was the GameCube, right? That came out against the Xbox and PS. No, that was PS2. Sorry, against the Xbox and PS2, right?
The funky looking lunchbox it released.
Right.
Yeah.
So this was N64. So this was very much a Nintendo doing whatever it wants. That weirdly, the GameCube, which was a cube, was the one time Nintendo tried to chase trends, basically, meaning like they made the most powerful console that generation, and then like it like didn't sell very well.
See, I actually think the Xbox was apparently, according to Wikipedia, which is obviously completely trustworthy, the Xbox was more powerful than the GameCube.
Really?
But it just, yeah. For what the
feel like I'd always read
the GameCube was powerful though.
Yeah. I'm just gonna check. Hold on.
Fact check me as I read this out.
Xbox. Yes, we're gonna fact check it.
Xbox is the most powerful.
Leaving
them in the dust.
Oh wow! But the GameCube was a lot more powerful than the PS2, basically. But the Xbox was more powerful than both of those. Okay, good to know.
So
Alex, you're gonna run Halo 1.
Yeah.
So Sony had shaken the industry with the launch of the original PlayStation and was going to do the same with the PlayStation 2. However, it wasn't just stepping on Sega's toes anymore. The fact that it could play music and DVDs meant it was aiming to take over the whole living room, and this is when Microsoft started getting worried, as obviously at this point they'd just been focused on PCs. Their defense strategy was to throw their hat into the ring, giving us the original Xbox in 2001. Despite being the most I think I put the most popular of its competitors. I meant powerful. Despite being the most powerful of its competitors, it definitely wasn't the most popular. It was dominated by the PS2 and didn't even make a profit due to how expensive it was to make. Now, I was shocked to read that. Like, they did not make a profit.
One thing that's interesting from an interview last week with someone at Microsoft, they actually said that they've never sold every single one of their consoles since the very beginning has been sold at a loss.
See, I thought that was just the Xbox One they were referring to. But is that...
I'm pretty sure they said it was every single console they've ever done was sold at a loss.
See, I think that might be a stretch for the 360. They must have made a bloody profit there. Because they just...
Oh, no. It wasn't a profit. Meaning, so selling at a loss just means that like they're selling the console for less than it cost to produce it.
Oh, I get what you mean. Yeah. So the problem with the original Xbox is that I think even when you like account for software sales, the profit wasn't, as it was, in the article I read, it wasn't steady. So I guess profits were made, it just wasn't consistent, which was obviously a big problem.
I mean the strategy is not new. Like the Nintendo Switch also sells at a loss. Like it costs more than $300 to produce one of those.
Yeah.
But then it's 8 years later, and Donkey Kong Country still costs $60. So there you go.
But yeah, despite issues with the original Xbox, it set up a lot of what would be the blueprint for the rest of the Xboxes to this day. It went all in on online play, launching the first online multiplayer subscription with Xbox Live a year after the console's launch. This proved popular in the early days due to the iconic Halo making its debut. Now, I've never actually played Halo, but it must be bloody good if it, spearheaded Microsoft's entire strategy.
Pretty good. Yeah. Hey, it's good.
You can drive around in the Ghost and the Banshees.
Yeah, those are fun. So, as far as the getting like the online multiplayer, Xbox Live Gold thing, whatever, or Xbox Live is what they called it originally, just launched like with that, and it was free was the main thing. Now, PlayStation 3 was the one where Sony was the first one to pull the trigger on paying for online access.
Oh,
so and then
true.
and then Microsoft, Mr. Halo man, pulled the trigger on their end, and they started charging for Xbox Live and rebranded it to Xbox Live Gold, which is the one that they have now, where you have to pay for online access as well. And then of course Nintendo followed like 2 generations later. But it's weird because like I don't think that like didn't am I remembering like the original Xbox had like an online thing, right? Did it?
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Yeah, I
It
don't
had
know that
Xbox
any
Wi-Fi,
Live,
right?
according
didn't
to.
have
You had to
Wi-Fi.
plug it
It
into
was
the wall.
Ethernet.
Yeah. Well, hang on. Who was so? I read that it did have Xbox Live on it. A year after launch, they added Xbox Live to it.
Yeah, that's definitely possible. So like the Xbox Live thing was like, and then they tried to incorporate Xbox Live onto PC with their like games for Windows nonsense, and it ruined everybody's playthrough of Fallout 3. Uh, so the by the way, this is a PSA. If you want to play Fallout 3 on PC, you need to get it from the GOG store, not from Steam, because the one from Steam uses Games for Windows Live, a now defunct DRM service, and
Nice.
you have to actually go into the file editor and like change a couple of lines of code to get it to run from Steam. So just get it from GOG. Basically, the version they're selling, they've already done that on their end, which is nice of them. Except I don't know. CD Projekt Red owns GOG, so I don't know if I want to encourage
Their behavior.
that behavior.
There's
Even if they were
there is no ethical consumption in the gaming industry.
no ethical consumption in gaming.
That's true.
You could not be a good gamer. We're all bad gamers.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think Halo was a launch title, right, for the first one?
Yep, it was. And I'm just looking up at now, and the Xbox Network service became available to free service known as Xbox Live Free in 2002. Bloody hell, that's a long time ago.
2002. What was going on? Was Shrek out yet? Or was that when he was just arriving?
I think that was pre-Shrek.
Yeah, I think Shrek was 04, right?
No, that can't be right.
Maybe that's too late.
When I'm gonna type into Google when was Shrek.
When was Shrek?
When was Shrek? 2001. So this is a post-Shrek world, yeah.
Okay, so we're in the early stages of post-Shrek, and to capitalize on that,
the world has just been changed.
Yeah,
for the better.
So I mean, my like experience with original Xbox came from backwards compatibility with 360, but you know, it just amazes me like how much, even though like this console was not a success, at least in terms of like I guess commercially, it just spearheaded so much of what Microsoft would continue.
So I don't know if you remember like the marketing for the original Xbox, but like it was just like it was very, I guess it was very edgy. It was very like a teen punk 2001 vibe.
I briefly remember in my like 3-year-old mind.
I don't know how hard the marketing went over in the UK. Like in America, it was like very, very like in your face in a lot of places, and they had a like it was like it was very MTV. I think is the vibe that they were trying to give off.
Definitely.
And yeah, so we had an OG Xbox.
Yeah, even Fusion Frenzy was very like punk.
Yeah, it was. So Fusion Frenzy was the one I was going to mention, which is like still a super fun, super cool game.
It's like Mario Party for non-children.
Yeah, but like it also didn't. It was just mini games though. It didn't have like a board game
games.
part. Have you seen that at all, Ree?
No, I haven't. Please tell me.
It was like a huge deal on the OG Xbox. Like people would like come over to our house and like play Fusion Frenzy, which is like, I mean, everyone remembers the sumo game. I think if you're listening, you remember that one where you're in the like balls and hitting each other off, which again is just another Mario Party game. I'm remembering.
Yep.
But anyway, you were just like some cool hip teens basically, and like riding your skateboards, and you had like green mohawks or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, so that was a fun one. And we had Halo 2, which we played a good bit of. So me personally, I have a lot of experience with Halo 1 because when I was in high school, our marching band, like our band room had a computer lab like attached to it for some reason that no one ever used. But it had a computer lab with like 16 computers in there, and I don't know who it was, like somebody like long before our time there. This was like I guess like 2007, 8, I guess. So somebody long ago had installed Halo 1 onto all of these computers and set up like a LAN connection between all of them.
What a champ.
So like
what a king.
What a king or queen, I don't know who did it, but the So like it was just a thing like on Fridays, like before band competitions, we would like all like gather up in the computer lab there and just play like 16 player like Halo just against each other on like, you know, different maps and just mess around. And it was extremely fun. We did that like a lot in high school. That so highly recommend that exact experience.
Break into your high school, set up a LAN
Yeah.
connection between the computers, and play some classic Halo. I respect that.
Um,
I always like the culture around Halo. It seems like somewhat wholesome, at least compared to like Call of Duty.
I 100% agree. It's a definitely one, and the fans of that franchise are like so like I don't know. I feel like they feel very strongly about things,
You know
but
what?
like they're also not like rude about it for the most part.
From what I've seen, it's like, at least with like the guys that are really into Halo, it's like an example of like positive masculinity, you know? Like I love those fucking videos on YouTube where it's like them doing the Halo theme in like the locker room. Have you seen that one?
I don't think so. Oh wait, no, I'm
like-
sorry. I'm thinking of like the dance, the Master Chief thing with like, you know what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
like the arms. That's not it though.
No, it's 50 high schoolers in the dude's locker room just humming.
Singing the Halo song. No, I remember
and, like,
that. Oh,
look,
that's
one
so
of them
good.
even has
It's
like
such
the
a good
drums and it's like doing the drum bit, and it's so cool. I love that. I love that they came together
Very
to create that.
That's 100% believable though, is the thing, like that could just happen. And that's just one of those franchises. So yeah, I mean, I think we'll probably get into what Halo did for the Xbox launch, but yeah, we can keep rolling.
All right, yeah, let's keep rolling. I was just about to say, like, what
Oh,
is
yeah.
it? What is it about the PS2 that just did better? Because at first I thought, oh, I missed out on it
Guitar
because
Hero.
I missed out because like, oh, it's just before my time. But then I remembered
I'm
that
trying to recall.
I did
I
I
think
played
we
the
mostly just
PS2 for like, God, I had that for years, and was probably my most played console as a kid.
So one thing I'd want to check is the sales of the Xbox and the PS2 in the West versus in Japan.
I know that the original Xbox did really bad in Japan. It just like for some reason the marketing
that trend would continue through to 2021.
Apparently the marketing was just really off over there. They just didn't understand the market.
I want to remind everyone of that fateful November in 2018 where Xbox sold 1 unit in the entire nation of Japan for that month.
That's phenomenal.
RIP. But yeah, that just to say that like Xbox has never understood the Japanese market, which is why Phil Spencer is like so gung-ho about acquiring a Japanese studio. Like he's made it his mission for the last 5 years, and I mean like Tango Gameworks is a Japanese studio, so they finally have one. Which is like, you know, a pretty big, and Shinji Mikami, nonetheless, the creator of Resident Evil, is under his thumb. So that's a big one.
That is, yeah.
But what was I gonna say? I would like to see numbers on like how the Xbox did in America versus how it did like versus the PS2 in Japan, because I feel like when I was a kid, I remember seeing a lot more like of the OG Xbox out in the wild than the PS2.
Oh, really?
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people had the Xbox.
Yeah, it was like very popular here, and I mean, we were in like elementary school or something at that time, right?
Yeah,
it would have been, yeah.
School, yeah.
And like, yeah, I don't know, like, it's strange because also seeing just to the next generation, seeing that the PS3 like won that generation worldwide is like completely insane to us in America, because the 360 destroyed the PS3 within the United States.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially like I think just in terms of like audience perception as well, the 360 just was the
winner.
winner.
Oh my god, their marketing was like so on point. Everybody had a 360, like it, and just I think the name too, like that was like, it's weird because Xbox has just done the worst other names outside of it, but like the Xbox 360 was like just such a easy name, like everyone calling it the 360, like everyone, I don't know, it just really caught on like that. And can I tell a quick story about this? I have to. This is the funniest thing I've heard, I think, ever, is that the reason that they came up with the name Xbox One is because the marketing team was like, everybody is calling our console the 360.
Oh, no.
If we name our next console Xbox One,
no.
everybody will call it the One.
Oh, that's
and then
so bad.
and that would be and that would
The chosen one.
That
The
they
chosen
said the
console.
one would communicate the universal nature. We want it to do everything for you. Everything entertainment wise is going to be the one.
Holy shit.
And then they just sent out the X-Bone instead.
That was not focus group at all. I think if they go to a console name, they should focus group that with like a Call of Duty server, so they know what sort of reception they're going to get, because that's going to dictate
Even
what their console's going
720
to
would
be
have been
called.
better.
Everyone
Thought it would be the 720.
everyone thought it'd be Xbox 720, which would have been fun.
Yeah.
And then wasn't the Wii, sorry, I just remembered the Wii in development was actually called the Revolution, which also is kind of a fun
I would have fun with that,
360
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Kind of a nod.
A rotating.
Yeah, so let's see here. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I loved the OG Xbox. We had that. We played a lot of Halo 2.
Oh, we played a lot of Harry Potter Quidditch.
We played a lot of
That game was
Quidditch
not
World
that
Cup.
good,
It was
yeah.
not a good game. We played a lot of it though. And then what else did we play? We had Spy versus Spy. You remember that one?
That's a legendary
That was
game.
legendary.
That's probably the best one.
Shadow the Hedgehog we did have there, which obviously changed my life.
Oh god, no. Yeah, I had that on PS2. What a game.
And then what was the other ones we had? Because oh, you remember the Godzilla game? The Godzilla Destroy
Just
All
the fighting
Monsters
game.
Melee. It was so much fun. Like, because it was just like you were two Godzilla monsters in a fully
They
destructible
had like
city.
40 characters in there too.
Yeah, it was like
huge.
it was a great game. I'm trying to think if we had anything else really. I feel like most of the time on that was probably just like Halo 2 versus
Fusion Frenzy, yeah.
And Fusion Frenzy, yeah. But anyway, yeah, we had one and it was fun. It had some good stuff, and people would like, you know, come over and play it and stuff. Like, I don't know, I never really like. I mean, as a child, obviously, I wasn't thinking like, what are the exclusives I can only find here, you know? So like,
yeah.
I don't know. I never really tapped into like their larger catalog of like their exclusive games, but like Morrowind,
Yeah, I think,
did not get into Todd Howard's masterpiece.
I think like back then, like as a kid, you sort of just lived and died like by the reputation. And I think in the UK, like the PS2 was the one to have. I'm looking at it now, and it seems like largely like it just took off way better here. I'm not sure why.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember like the first time I played a PS2 was at these like play centers for kids. They had these climbing frames for the older kids, and then like a whole bunch of consoles for the older kids. And even though I was like 4 years old, I would like go to the consoles and just play Crash Bandicoot for like 2 hours. Well,
Sure.
and I think there was just a lot of that in the UK, so it just sort of took off like that. And I remember there was a massive shortage over here as well. Like we were so lucky
Really?
to get one in the end. Yeah, it was huge.
I feel like I remember the Xboxes being plentiful here. I don't think there was a shortage on them.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. Like, there was just everyone wanted a PS2 over here.
Yeah, PlayStation's always had a really weirdly loyal fan base in Europe, especially in like Western European countries. Like, I mean, UK, but like, you know, most like France, Germany, like, you know, that area there, like they have extremely loyal PlayStation people there.
They really have. So yeah, I guess that just contributed, that, and also the failure in Japan, I think, just contributed to it. Kind of just not taking off. But, you know, I think as we were saying about reputation, to sort of close off the bit about Xbox, while it may have been a failure financially, the Xbox had completely changed the gaming market, and it succeeded in its goal of sort of scaring Sony a bit. In just one generation, we'd gone from Sega versus Nintendo to Microsoft versus Sony. It secured itself as one of the big three, meaning Sony couldn't just sit back and relax and had to take it seriously as a competitor, while Nintendo would just, I guess, continue to do whatever the hell it wanted with the Wii next.
Yeah,
so
it's interesting. They like don't. I mean, it's true. It's really true. But like, I mean, Nintendo was never really considered like Sony or Microsoft their competitors.
Yeah,
like,
they're just there. They're one of the big three, but they're just sort of there.
I mean, Reggie Fils-Aimé specifically has talked about like, oh, like I don't consider like our like competitors to be like actual competitors. Like, the more people care about gaming, the better for all of us. Like, the more people get into it, the better we all sell, the more money we all make.
That's wholesome.
And like, I mean, yeah, but I miss Reggie.
So do I. God damn. I mean, now that he's booted out of GameStop, can he come back? He's free.
Maybe. He's free now. I think that he actually, from what I heard, he actually had a contracted stint with GameStop. Like, that was supposed to be a 1-year thing. Like, and so that just ended like it was gonna.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
lot of game booted out there, so I just assumed he was one of them.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that I think the pandemic probably didn't help his time there.
That's true.
And then also the Wall Street thing.
That was, oh god, that was this year. That's
Yeah,
scary.
that was
man.
that was
Oh,
the
I forgot. Yeah.
God. That was like 2 months ago too.
Oh
Jesus.
lord.
Oh man.
Okay, so I guess rolling forward, and we're now up to the 360, the big one. So following up was the Xbox 360 towards the end of 2005. The priority here was simple: make it cheap and make it quick. With Sony being the clear winner last time, Microsoft couldn't wait until everyone had already had a PS3. It had to give players the first taste of what next-gen gaming could be. Just ignore Nintendo again, just for this bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it did. Not only was the Xbox 360 much more affordable than other consoles at launch, it also got a full year ahead of the PS3, or almost a full year, about 11 months. And even when the PS3 did launch, it was ridiculously expensive. The cheapest model of both consoles was $200 more expensive to get a PS3 still.
Yeah, so the PS3 launched at $600, and that's something that we can never forget.
Yeah, I don't know what.
Oh man,
I think they just got
that's like 1,000 of today's dollars too.
They just
Yeah.
got way too cocky there, I think. Just assumed that everyone would. I guess they
Mhm.
thought, oh, well, it's super powerful, so everyone will come here. And also, like, obviously, the PS1 and PS2 were just, eye-watering amount of sort of profit that they just went, okay, we can get away with this. They couldn't,
Yeah.
as it happened. I mean, obviously, in the end, it paid off for them, but in the early days, that must have been a PR nightmare. But
Right.
the strategy had worked. They benefited further from Sony seemingly getting cocky again. If it sounds too good to be true, though, that's because it is. Sega paid the price previously for getting Dreamcast out too quickly, and Microsoft would do the same. Due to a manufacturing error, early Xboxes had an absurdly high failure rate, commonly known as the Red Ring of Death. Hey,
Yes.
anyone
Never
experience
forget.
this?
I've seen it before.
Yeah, I didn't. We didn't.
I don't
get
think
it.
we got
We
it
didn't
on
play the
ours.
360 too much though.
Yeah, we didn't play that one a bunch. We had one, but yeah, no, I knew about it. I had many friends in like middle and high school that like they knew the touch of the Red Ring of Death.
Oh yeah.
When did you guys
Like-
get a 360?
We got it late.
It was late
It
in
was
this
probably
cycle.
3 years after it came out or something.
It was when Skyrim came out. Mom, do you remember when you got us an Xbox 360?
No.
Okay.
Your dad bought it.
No, you bought it.
Did you get a PS3 then? Were you one of the few to
No.
get that?
No, we didn't get PS3.
Did not have a PS3.
We had a Wii.
I don't
for
think I
sure.
ever saw a PS3 in real life.
Yeah, I got my PS3 in 2015 or 2014. I got it really late.
Oh, wow.
The first time I saw a PS3 was when I was playing The Last of Us Part 2, and in the game I found a PS3.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, the 360 was
yeah.
just like in the eyes of everyone, just the one to have, I guess. Just
It was the one.
it was the one. Unironically, they had the one with this one, not the Xbox One. And I mean, there's many reasons for this. I guess to sidetrack quickly from the whole Red Ring of Death situation, I can remember it just being a very consumer friendly one, at least compared to the PS3. You could get so many deals of it. There were so many bundles. We got it a little bit later on where you could have Xbox Arcade or Xbox Elite, so it was clearly marketing to both casual gamers and pro gamers, I guess. So like my stepbrother got an Xbox Elite, and then me and my brother had to share a Xbox Arcade. And it was just affordable enough for like a family on a low income to get that as a Christmas present. Whereas the PS3 was just, I don't know what they were doing. I mean, obviously going in for Blu-ray, while would pay off in the end, didn't pay off at all at first, because I don't know, I can remember everyone being very not bought in by the idea of Blu-ray at first, and definitely wasn't gonna spend $600 or however much it was here. I think it's like £500 for a Blu-ray player that could play video games as well, when you could just get the 360 and keep watching your DVDs and also play games. It just and of course it was just the exclusives as well. You had for my family, it was the Fable series. We all fell in love with that on the original Xbox, so that continued with the 360. Obviously, you got Halo again.
Halo 3 was the Halo 3 and Halo Reach, I think, came out on this one.
Yeah, so it was,
and then of course Skyrim. Come on. So Skyrim, just for reference, did come out on the PS3, but it first of all came out later, and then secondly also didn't work on the PS3.
Yeah, don't play it on PS3. Please
It did.
don't.
It's. I think it still doesn't work.
It doesn't.
And then Mass Effect was actually an exclusive for a few years.
It was.
It eventually
It
came
was.
out on the PS3, but yeah, it was originally a 360 exclusive.
So, I mean, you guys said that you got a 360 quite late, but like, what was your 360 experience like? Did you get Xbox Live and all that? Did you play all like the
I
exclusives?
think no. I think we literally had 2 games, and they were one of the Call of Duties and Skyrim.
Yeah, I played Halo 3 at my friend's house mostly on the 360, but yeah, I think Halo 3 was my main 360 experience.
I've never played Halo 3. I've like never even opened it.
Yeah, so I again, I didn't play Halo on this, but I played so much 360. Just I played Fable 2 and 3 on repeat so much. I can remember like this is like my first experience with like digital games because I never like played on PC, so this is the first time I got into that. I played some indie games. I remember saying Super Meat Boy all the time and crying because it's hard.
Yeah.
I can.
So
Everyone remembers Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. They're very much.
I know of it. Yeah, I don't think we engaged.
Very popular sequel.
So one thing that happened, like you mentioned, the Xbox Live Arcade was a huge deal, and it did something that like we mentioned this whole thing in our Hades episode, but it did something that like would go on to like kind of set the stage for what they were going to do with Game Pass, I think later, meaning that like there was so the game Bastion by Supergiant Games, who would, like I said, go on to make Hades eventually. This was their first game in like 2008, I think. And that was the same time that Xbox 360 launched their Xbox Live Arcade thing. And they just basically a button appeared on everybody's 360 and it said like Live Arcade. And everyone's like, what's this? And basically the idea was that like it was like a collection of like smaller indie games that like either that had like free demos and that you could like that would cost less. So so they had contacted Supergiant Games actually, and they'd cut a deal with them and said, hey, we want to start this thing called like a feature like on our and launch that like with our Live Arcade and put a game there, so when someone clicks on that, like they see something there and they can start playing it right away for free. And like we want to do that with you, and then like if they want to keep playing the game, they can buy it for cheap. So I think it was $10. And they put Bastion up there as their first game on the Live Arcade, and it like exploded. That game sold like absolutely crazy, and no one would have ever found it otherwise. And then of course we wouldn't have stuff like Transistor and Hades, or like giant award-winning games. So it's really interesting that like I think that kind of set the stage for like their business plan going forward, and how they were going to try to make things like they're trying to make it so you can play whatever you want whenever you want, kind of a thing, Game Pass.
Yeah, that's a good point actually, how it ties into Game Pass. And again, like with Game Pass, it just ties into like how I think the 360 was just really mostly consumer friendly. Like the indies were affordable. You got to try them out before you played them. I got to play so many games on this console just because of things like that. And
wait, I want to give a shout out to Geometry Wars.
Oh yeah.
Oh god, you know what the best one was though? Fucking Doritos Crash Course, whatever that was. That was like that free to play
Doritos Crash Course?
Do you not remember that? I swear, like
I do
I
not
think I played
know
Doritos
that.
Crash Course.
all of my
not
friends
play
were
that one.
obsessed with that. Maybe it was just like
That doesn't sound real.
localized to my primary school, but it was
Sure.
just this stupid platforming game that was free on Xbox Live.
Were you a Dorito, or were you collecting Doritos?
There was a surprising like lack of Doritos. It was just this normal platforming like game that was sponsored by Doritos, and the appeal of it was that your avatar, your Xbox Live avatar, you played as them. So I just remember all my friends being obsessed with that. That was a fun time.
It was basically just like Super Doritos Odyssey, and then there were like some Doritos sometimes in the background.
Just occasionally you got an advert in game. Oh, that was a fun time. I love the 360. It was a very cozy console. That's a very weird way to describe it, but it was. But of course, the less cozy aspect of it was the Red Ring of Death, which was a much bigger problem early on. So they put the failure rate of the console, so like the entire console getting bricked, at about 5%, which is considered acceptable for some reason.
That's a lot still, but yeah.
That
But that's
is-
also not true.
Yeah,
I knew
exactly.
like
It's
way more people than 5% who had it.
exactly. It's also just completely not true. Independent estimates have placed it in the lower region of about 25%. And this is bear in
Yeah,
mind,
that sounds
this is the
right.
base
To
Xbox.
50%.
Yeah, to 50%. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable.
yeah, I had a later model. I had the Xbox Arcade one, and that actually did Red Ring about last
Ugh.
2 years ago, I think. So it had a very
Oh,
good
okay,
run.
so it's like, yeah, it had
Oh
a good
wow,
run.
yeah.
Yeah, it had a really good run because we got it in about, I want to say 2008, and then it lasted to about just over 10 years. So
Yeah.
I'm happy with that. But it's just
Nice.
it's crazy that you basically had a 50-50 chance of your console getting bricked if you bought it at launch. That's just insane.
Joycon Drift.
Yeah, that was the original Joycon Drift.
It was, except it was the entire console.
Yeah.
Imagine if your Switch started drifting.
Do you out of interest, do you think that, because obviously Joy-Con Drift has been a massive story throughout the whole of the Switch's life, do you think the Red Ring controversy would have been worse, like with social media now?
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
100%. It would have been completely unacceptable. As it is now, everyone's just like, oh yeah, that sucked, and just like moves on.
Yeah, because I guess like people weren't really like talking as much. I mean, obviously you had like gaming forums and stuff, but now with Twitter, like anyone can be on that. It isn't just
Right.
gamers
Yeah.
talking amongst themselves. It would be like parents. It would be all sorts of people. And I wonder how that would have impacted the sales of the Xbox if it was released now and that was a problem.
I think they would actually have to have fixed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably would have had to. You know,
I mean, even Nintendo had to start fixing the Joy-Con drift after like a year.
Is it fixed though? I thought it was still an issue.
No, like they'll fix it for free. You have to send the Joy-Con back in.
Yeah, but they still haven't fixed the manufacturing
No,
of the
they haven't
Joy-Con.
fixed the
they'll send them out
problem.
with the problem, and then
Well, it's because it's in that it's within their like internal acceptable rate. They're like, okay, like eating the cost of this by just repairing them later is like going to cost less in the long run than changing whatever we're doing during manufacturing that's causing the problem.
Lovely. Amazing. I guess
Capitalism.
before we say goodbye to the 360, we've got to talk about the the one with the other, I guess,
Oh my
misstep.
God, how did we get this far without
the
it?
Kinect. Oh no.
Yep, we haven't talked about the Kinect. Did you two have one?
I had a raise.
We did not have the Kinect.
I blocked it out of my memory.
I had a friend who had it.
So did you like play the Kinect for of friends ever?
Yeah, I did. I think I've tried it at friends' houses, and the only game I remember is the one where you're standing there and like there are bugs on the screen and you're just hitting them with your hands.
I remember that one.
Wasn't there some dancing DDR or something too with the
Probably
dancing for the
fake
Kinect?
Just Dance. Probably.
Yeah, I think it was it just. I think it might have just been just.
It might have actually been Just Dance.
Yeah,
but
that was like the one they advertised it with, I think.
yeah,
dancing
like
game.
I remember the commercials for it, but like I didn't know a lot of people with it, and I only used it a few times. I don't know that it was as much of a smash hit as they wanted.
It was not. So I had a Kinect because for some reason I'm not sure what the advertising machine was like in the US, but in Europe it was huge. Probably because we had Lionhead Studios, the Fable creators, with Peter Molyneux, notorious teller of truths, who would go on TV and completely lie about the Kinect. They were responsible for the tech demo. Well, he was responsible for the tech demo. Do you remember? Oh God, what was it? Project Natal or something? The
I
one.
don't think so.
So it was this tech demo where you had this lady playing the Kinect in inverted commas because she was not, and it had this character on screen who she was talking to like a fully functioning AI, and the character would respond to what she said and her movements and how she spoke, and it looked like something completely out of this world. I can remember that just being on the news constantly over here because that was being made over here, and it was completely false. Like the woman playing was an actor.
Sure.
The game that they were displaying was
no.
not a game. It was completely scripted. But that stuck in my little, like, I must have been 9 at this point, 9 or 10, like 9 or 10 year old's head. And I, like, me, my brother, and my stepbrother were like, we'll put all of our Christmas, like, we asked for money that Christmas, and just put all of it together. And then, like, along with some birthday money, we managed to all buy a Kinect, thinking it was gonna be, we don't need controllers anymore. We just need our body, like we've completely bought
Yeah, we
into
can just use
that.
our minds, man.
So
Yeah, it was like with the promise of VR in 2005 or whatever.
it was. Oh god, it really was. And so we got it. And for one, it turned out our house wasn't big enough for it because you need a lot of distance between yourself and the camera. So we had to set it up in the kitchen, which was the biggest room, and we had
Incredible.
like this old CRT like balancing above the sink. With the Xbox right next to it and then the Kinect on top, and we were playing the dancing game, and
Very good.
we deluded ourselves into thinking it was good for a while, but it wasn't.
Yeah, it might not have been. That's probably a good transition into the Xbox One because,
Hang
as
on,
everyone
just
remembers,
one more quick fun story
Oh,
from
sure.
the Kinect. This one will interest you because it's Sonic related. Have you ever seen Sonic
Ooh.
Free Riders?
Oh yeah,
You've talked about this, and I still have not seen it.
Please watch someone play it. It's so fucking funny. You literally have to like pretend you're on the board and like bend
Yes.
awkwardly, and then you also got the bike mini games where you have to like awkwardly squat for sometimes 5 minutes at a time and just hold that pose. It was
Wow.
so uncomfortable. I don't know. I actually somehow completed that game as a kid. I had
Wow.
much more
like
energy
bad
back
Wii
then.
Sports or something.
It was like intense Wii Sports. It was like because you had to hold a squatting position for a whole race.
Yes.
Oh man.
I don't know how that worked, but yeah, the main downfall of the Kinect, there was a lot of interest in it, and it actually sold fairly well. It just sort of faltered because no one wanted to develop for it. They forced all of their
Right.
first party developers to make games for it. They did not sell well, and then third parties did not want to get involved, so they ditched it. Like they had a Fable game for it, they had a Star Wars game for it, but no one was even interested in them. So but yeah, as you said, transitioning to the Xbox One, they did not learn their lesson, and they sold a Kinect along with every base Xbox One.
Yes, it's built into it.
What do we think about that decision?
So this at this point I was in high school, and I remember this marketing for the Xbox One very well, and I remember the news and the real news all the time had a lot of exposés on this, because I think you get into this later. The Xbox One Kinect couldn't be turned off, and it was always online. And so
Oh yeah, it was like watching
basically,
you.
yes.
Yeah.
So that was the narrative that surrounded the Xbox One. This console is always watching you. It is always listening, and there is no way to stop it.
We didn't have that
And that
over
was on
here.
like
Oh wow.
it was on the news all the time. Like people were freaking out about it. Like it was just a complete PR nightmare for the Xbox One. Like nobody wanted one. Like it just completely. And I think after a year is when they started producing them without the Kinects, I think.
Yeah, and that was mainly a cost thing because it just costs so much to have the Kinect go alongside it. I had no idea that it triggered all these conspiracy theories over that about how Microsoft are watching you.
We need to leave it alone. Okay. Yeah, so I think that we gotta hurry it up a little bit.
Yeah, don't worry, we'll speed up.
Yeah, so I don't know. Xbox One did bad.
Well, hang on, that's a little bit more to talk about that. So, controversy also erupted aside from the always online thing. Actually, I just want to read out a quote from a Microsoft Studio employee at the time who commented on this issue in a tweet. "Sorry, I don't get the drama around having an always on console. Every device is always on. That's the world we live in. Hashtag deal with it."
Hashtag deal with it.
Hashtag deal with it.
Oh no.
So that didn't go down well. There was also the fact that they wanted to stop people from buying secondhand games, meaning that if you wanted to share a game with someone, you could choose from up to 10 people in a designated family account to trade games with. You could also only sell them to participating retailers. They did scrap this before launch, but the PR was actually so terrible that I had no idea that they scrapped this until 2016 when I went to go buy a PS4, and the lady in game was trying to sell me an Xbox, and I was like, but I like secondhand games. She was like, oh, they got rid of that thing. I was like, oh, neat. But that just sort of, I think, proves how bad the PR is, that I thought the always online thing and the no secondhand games thing was a thing and not scrapped at launch. In terms of goodwill in the gaming community, it was definitely a slow burn. Despite initial hiccups, it later did receive praise for cross-play functionality with Switch and PC, as well as support for backwards compatibility. However, it just couldn't stop getting steamrolled by the PS4 due to, again, a better launch with better PR and also just a phenomenal amount of exclusive games. Just they really just didn't read the room. They thought that people
Yeah.
wanted an entertainment device, but it turns out people just wanted video games.
Yeah, that's the problem, and that's why Nintendo has quietly sailed on by. They're just making video games. Yeah, like Halo underwent some problems here. Halo 4 and 5 are usually considered the two worst of the series, and by no means I think outright bad games, but they're generally considered the two least favorites that came out on this one. And because they were not made by Bungie, they're made by 343 Studios. You remember Bungie decided to leave the Halo franchise behind because they didn't want to work for Microsoft anymore. And then the other thing, Gears of War underperformed. Forza underperformed. Like, I mean, there's only so much you can sell car racing, to people for a console. And yeah, it was weird. So many of these projects got canceled. That was the problem. I think
that was a massive problem. Yeah, I can remember I was going to get an Xbox, but then Fable, like the entire franchise went under. So I was like, that's my one reason for getting it gone.
So one other huge thing they had exclusive was from Platinum Games, the game Scalebound, the dragon game, which was supposed to be very cool. That they were advertising that very heavily for a while, and then suddenly it disappeared. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, it was just kind of, it's weird because they really have just flopped the whole thing, and I think they stopped reporting how many Xboxes they sold during that gen.
They did.
So
the last official one was a year after launch. The last unofficial one was in 2016, which shows, and this is why they want to hide it, that they only shifted half the units of the PS4. So not great. Not a great generation at all.
No, it's very believable. Yeah.
Out of interest, a lot of people do swear by some of the exclusives on the Xbox. Were there any that you think?
I did not have an Xbox One, and I didn't know anybody who did.
But we had one in my college dorm because a roommate had one, but I think we 80% plus just played Rocket League on it. So we didn't really do anything exclusive on it.
I know some people say that Sunset Overdrive is really good, and that was the one game.
Sunset Overdrive is really good, but it's also on PC. Shh.
There you go. So I guess it just wasn't a lot of reason to go for it. But I think this failure has taught Xbox a real good lesson. The one is that they need to have good value for money. You can't just say like, oh, buy our console. You always have to have a good internet connection, and you can't use secondhand games. This time they're still trying to get rid of the secondhand game market, but I think they're doing it in a much friendlier way with Games Pass, because
it's Game Pass, and they actually launched an entire marketing campaign to make people stop saying Games Pass, which obviously didn't work.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna keep saying Games Pass. Sorry, Microsoft. This is my podcast. So I was initially against, not against in terms of everyone should stop, but personally against getting digital games and game subscriptions, because I like having my physical copies. But I have to admit, Xbox has completely sold me on the idea of a subscription, because Games Pass is such good value for money. I think you're just so much thrown in there.
Seriously just there are very few games that I ever want to come back to or replay, to be honest, and yes, it's like a movie, like streaming a movie. I would much rather just have it and play it and it's gone. I don't need to own it. Some stuff I do want to, but for the most part, it's I like this idea of just being able to pop open this and then see there's this weird indie game. Let me try it out for 30 minutes, and then I don't like it, I uninstall it. There's no guilt.
Yeah, I play games completely differently, to be honest. I don't actually buy that many. I just get the ones that I'm really looking forward to, and that's it. And they're the ones that I know I am going to go back to, like Dragon Age and Mass Effect and big RPGs. I know I'm going to go back to them at time and time again. But now that obviously I'm in games media, this is just going to be so helpful, because I don't have to dedicate myself.
Try everything out.
And then the main thing also is, of course, that for the rest of time, ostensibly, Xbox, well, they made this declaration 2 years ago, and they've kept to it, which is that every Microsoft like first party game is going to be launching on Xbox Game Pass day and date, and also will be launching on PC, mobile, and console simultaneously. And yeah, they've been doing that.
And the only thing that does like I do worry about is obviously games preservation, as we saw when Sony almost took down the PSN or whatever.
I would be
Oh, sorry.
I would be more worried about it if Xbox wasn't like actually leading the charge on game preservation. Like they're the only ones who seem to care about it.
Yeah.
How many Nintendo eStores have we been through?
Yeah, it's like, just the whole idea of like the entire game market going digital does present problems for like when those services are taken down and games just aren't available anymore. But I think as long as you have places that do like limited run, like limited run games, for example, will do like a limited run of physical copies of indie games, so that there's always some in circulation. So I think as long as we have that, it's all good. As long as like all the big games as well get a physical release. So if you really like if I play a game on Steam that I really like, I tend to then pick up the physical copy. So like I know I've always got it, and also I just like having it on my shelf. So
Right.
I think as long as we keep that going. Also, I think that the Xbox All Access thing is a really good idea. That's when you can pay a subscription, which I think is like 25. I think it's like £30.
It's $20. It's $20 for the Series S, and I think 30 for the
Yeah,
Series X.
and it's like yeah, and the price is pretty good here as well. For you pay off the console over I think 2-year period, and in that time you also get access to Game Pass and Xbox Live. That's just to me like a lot of people do budget monthly, and it's just so good that they're being accommodating towards that. I mean, of course it's also just to get a whole fucking bunch of money, but also when you add it up, it's really not a bad deal. I think it's pretty good, and I'm probably gonna eventually cave in and do that with the Series X just because it looks good.
Yeah,
and also Fable's back, baby. Fable's back.
Hey,
so I'm getting
2029. Be there. Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously really excited, and of course, like we probably should mention the acquisition of Bethesda.
That was a big one.
That happened earlier this year. Which is sort of they're okay. It's like we are gonna have games actually, is kind of the thing. So yeah, I mean, Starfield is gonna be a huge one. I mean, hopefully this holiday, maybe not, but there are games coming.
There
Probably.
are. Bethesda has made games in the past, so we should get games from them soon.
I would think so.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
But I think they've learnt their lesson. You need games on a games console that you're selling to gamers. Who knew?
Yeah, or
they'll game elsewhere.
They'll game elsewhere.
Just sort of to round off, how do you feel about the future of Xbox going forward?
I mean, I think it feels good. I'm a big Bethesda shell. I am, of course, Todd Howard in disguise. So I'm, on that front, I'm very excited. And then I think their other stuff is pretty cool. Hellblade's a really cool game. Things like that are good. But
I think being the first to make like a functioning Game Pass system is also bodes well, especially with people are going to be mobile gaming more and more as we move forward.
Yes, they are, for sure.
So as long as those run well on the phones and other tablets and stuff that come out, I think that bodes well for them too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean they've just done so well to be the game subscription service. I think if most people, if they want to see what that's about, will go with Game Pass. They're not really going to look at what's the PlayStation 1 PS Now. I haven't.
Yeah,
I don't know anyone who has it, so I don't.
Nobody
think that's
does.
really taking off in the same way. But Sony's doing their own thing. They're focused.
So we have to really close it out on this though. Like, are there enough ghosts in the Xbox?
There were too many in the 360. I think
there are plenty of ghosts. The ghost of every Xbox that got the red ring of death.
Yeah, that's true.
The Xboxes themselves become the ghosts, so we have got a lot.
All right. Okay, let's like I said, we got to keep moving, so we're gonna jump into our final segment quickly here. We'll come back to Dungeon Busters. We're heading back to the, I think, basement floor 5 of this dungeon.
Ooh.
So let's see here. What are we characters are gonna get? So this one says duelist. I don't know if, like Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist.
Yeah, okay, let's go with that. I was initially thinking like a pirate, but let's go with Yu-Gi-Oh!
Sure.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Pirate.
Have you seen Cowboy Bebop?
Yeah.
You want to be a space dandy?
Sure.
Okay. Great. Okay, so we're heading in. First one, an endless horde of skeletons attacks the party from a hole in the floor. Okay. Do you have any Yu-Gi-Oh cards that can combat this?
Okay.
Oh, what's the one? Hole of Darkness? Did you just fall back in the hole?
Oh,
I guess, yeah.
There you go. Sorted.
Okay. I guess that wasn't really much of a challenge. Let's do the next one.
I'm too OP.
Okay, ambushed by 9 blank ninja assassins. So that's going to be Mewtwo. You're ambushed by 9 Mewtwo
Mewtwo's?
ninja assassins. These are Mewtwo's that are ninjas. 9 of
And
them.
assassins.
Oh god.
This seems hard.
It's been-
This seems
Yeah,
like
I don't
it'll
really
be
know
difficult.
if we have the necessary powers.
It's
to
been
deal
a
with this.
while since I watched Yu-Gi-Oh, and all I remember is Blue Eyes White Dragon. So let's go with that. Will that beat him?
Yeah. Pot of Greed is one of them.
Don't remember this.
Exodia.
I feel like I don't contribute to this battle. What does space
Is
standing
this
have?
if we what happens if we die? I didn't think about this.
We lose. We're trapped in the podcast.
Yikes.
It had to be Mewtwo. Why couldn't we be Mewtwo?
Yeah, I don't know. It's the next card. All right, well, I'm gonna say that we have lost the boss fight here. That was very quick. But
With speed,
there is
and we lost the run.
yeah, you know what? I know when I'm beat. Actually, no, I'm the DM. I won.
Oh.
Anyway.
There you go. Congrats.
There we go. Okay, so we'll have to send a different party down to the next basement floor.
We'll try
For
again.
the next one. We'll try again. So yeah, anyway, let's we gotta close out. So yeah, thank you guys for joining us for this easy breezy episode of GameBusters. Like I said, you can find us on GameBusters Pod on Twitter. Then I'm at Gondeezy on Twitter, and is at re_Bevan.
Yeah.
And yeah, just check out all our cool things and our notes on the different companions from Mass Effect.
Good takes all round.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can find us on, youtube.com/GameLuster, and of course at GameLuster.com, our parent site. Yeah, and I don't know, does anyone have any cool things they're working on right now?
I have got another Mass Effect hot take coming out on the
Yeah,
Gamer.com
sure.
this weekend. It's about how I get a little bit annoyed how towards the end of the trilogy, BioWare started playing favorites of the romances, how some got way more content than others. So yeah, if you want to read me yell into the void, go do that.
Mhm.
There you go.
Okay, that sounds good. I am filming another episode of our Together B&B adventure through the worst dating sim on Steam that is available this weekend, so please look out for that. It is the worst game, but we're having a good time. Please go check it out. It's and also through the GameLuster Twitch channel at twitch.tv/GameLuster, I've been streaming Persona 3 with actually a pretty good audience, so people are pretty excited. So yeah, come check us out there. Nikhil, are you working on anything creatively?
No, I started 3 houses as well. I forgot to mention Fire Emblem, so I guess that be working on my relationships in there as my creative outlet.
Yes.
I respect that.
Very good. Okay. All right. I think that's good. So, I guess I don't think anybody won since we all died to the 9 Mewtwo ninjas.
They won.
They won.
We had,
I'm gonna let
we
the
had
Mewtwo.
fun, so we're
I'm gonna
all
let the
winner.
Mewtwo ninjas sort of get the last word to take us out because they did win.
Let's hear it then.
And I guess that will just be the quote from Mewtwo from Pokemon the first movie. Hold on, let me find it. Yeah. This is a real thing that he said in the movie. I see now that the circumstances of one's birth are irrelevant. It is what you do with the gift of life that determines who you are.
That was very deep.
Well,
Thank you, Mewtwo.
okay.